Hello, and welcome to my video of overclocking Coffee Lake 8700K CPU with this motherboard, Asrock Z370 Taichi. And for the beginning of the video, I am showing you Prime 95. I'm running Prime 95 here with the full Avx to support the latest version, and I am running with set voltage value of 1.43, I guess, yes, and we are currently running 1.392 V-core with temperatures hovering between 79, 78 and 82. The test has been running now for, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. I've been running Prime 95 before making this video. This is just to give you guys an example. And here we can see that we are using pretty devastating large amounts of current. 289, 290 watts for the CPU package power. But this, using a set value, like a blunt value, is a little bit silly with this motherboard. I found out that with the Taichi, the offset mode works actually pretty great. And we're gonna look into that in a few moments. But let me just show something else here. We have my memory. My memory is G-Skill Trident Z 3600 CL15 latency kit, and that's working like right out of the box, just okay. But let's hop on to the BIOS. Oh, maybe one thing first. Let's just get rid of this. So I've been running Prime 95 with this CPU. This is now my second 8700K. I've deleted it, and I've made this deleting video of it, and it's been pretty good. This unit now, this second one, is a little bit better than the first one. But for the offset mode, I will just explain why I think this offset mode with Asrock Taichi is great. Loading a game, just to make a point quickly. Okay, but anyways, here you can see I've made this information layer a little bit bigger so that you can actually see it more easily. With a set value of 1.43, my voltage is 1.408 when gaming. Okay, the temperatures are pretty cool at the moment, but they tend to rise up between 50 and 60 degrees Celsius. But with offset mode, this the lighter software like games and web browsing and whatnot, they will be using considerably less voltage. So that's a point I'd just like to make now. So let's reboot and go into BIOS. Spam TF2, spam. Okay, so this is the Asrock BIOS. This is the simple mode. I don't really use any of these simple mechanics here. I've never tried what the CPU easy overclocking does. I assume that it does something catastrophic with your voltages, so it's always preferable to go into advanced mode. And there we are now, and this is like a folder structure. So these are like tabs, and then you have folders that you go through. So of course I'm going into the OC tweaker menu, And this is what I have done now. So I'm running at 5 gigahertz. The cache speed is 4.2 gigahertz. Base clock 100 and memory speed 3600. So here we go, but let's first go through some CPU stuff. So the CPU ratio, this is the multiplier that sets your CPU speed. So for 5 gigahertz use 50. And all core option means that it's for all cores. You can also set per core values. If you test per core, you can find out which cores you can run at higher speeds and which cores you can run a little bit slower. So not all of your CPU cores are equal, they are individual. Some of them will run better than the others. But I like to use the all core function and find the lowest common denominator. So with this I know that at least even the lowest core that I have in my CPU, all of the 6 cores, even the crappiest one, can run at least 50 multiplier, so 5 gigahertz. CPU catch ratio, you can set it here. The default is 4.3 megahertz, something gigahertz, blah blah. Anyways, 48 is something that I've found stable. This is a secondary overclocking value. Overclocking cache can net you maybe 1 or 2 FPS more in games, so you can leave this to default if you want to. It's not significant in any ways. PC base clock frequency you can set here. I haven't done the last final bit of base clock overclocking. Should do it for the extra 50 megahertz that I will probably get out of it. And then we have the other settings. So spread spectrum, this is something that affects your VRM. This is something that affects your volts. I recommend using disabled. Disable this completely. You will probably get better results. And Avx Ratio Offset. So this means that when you are running Avx programs, you can set an offset of example 3. So this means that programs that use Avx are gonna run with multiplier 50 minus 3, so 47. But use a value 0, it defaults to auto, and you won't have any Avx offset at all. And these are some values that are of use here. So these affect your power limits and power settings for the CPU. Long duration power limit, long duration maintained, short duration power limit, and CPU core current limit. Set all of these to max. What this means that your long duration power limit is now over 4 kilowatts. But you have secondary preventative systems in your motherboard, so you won't be putting 4 kilowatts through your CPU. Your CPU, your motherboard, and even your computer case would probably melt. But these values I'm putting in these values just to enable unrestricted voltage values for my CPU. Okay, but this was my basic settings for CPU itself. Then let's go through some voltage configurations. And voltage mode, I have an option here between stable and OC. I have no idea what this actually does. It's explained here. Larger range voltage for overclocking and stable is smaller range voltage for stable system. I've tried both of these and I can't figure out the difference between them. I get the same exact voltages either way, so I just leave it at OC mode just to be sure. And yeah, so now you saw that the fixed mode for the voltages was giving me 1.42 while gaming, and that's a lot. So I'd much rather have something a little less. And I've been trying out this offset mode for a good day or two now, and this seems to work quite nicely. So with offset mode, I get maybe 1.36 volts while gaming, and when using benchmarks or doing very, very heavy video encoding, then I get maybe 1.39 and maximum at 1.43 with Prime 95. And Prime 95 with Avx commands is possibly the highest load that you can put on your CPU. Nothing else. Nothing. There's no video encoders. There's absolutely nothing that gives out that kind of demand for your CPU number crunching. So I'm not even sure that Prime 95 with AVX is actually a good way to benchmark or try to get the stable results. It seems excessively hard. So as it's not reflecting anything from the real world. It's just like the worst of the worst cases scenarios. But anyways, so now I'm setting an offset mode with minus 60, and the scale of this is now in millivolts. Scale of this is the highest amount is minus 100. So let's go minus 60 here, and the load line calibration, the logic is opposite in the numbering of load line calibration when comparing to ASUS. So load line calibration level 1 means that it's keeping the set value, so it doesn't V-droop at all, or it's not supposed to V-droop at all. It V-droops a little bit, a tiny amount, but it's nothing that's significant. So using level 1 here, so this on Asus boards, this would be level 7, so that's it. And here you can see also the RAM voltages, and we might now also set a small overclock for my RAM. Let's do this, and this is important. VCC IO voltage 1.15, don't go above 1.2, 1.2 maximum, don't go over it. And the system agent 1.2, don't go over 1.3 or 1.25. I don't go over 1.2, this is enough for me, and I'll keep it there. Rest is on auto. So, and as I now decided also to overclock the RAM, let's do it. DDR4 frequency, and as you can see, there's there's a pretty high list of speeds here, but I know that Asus boards struggle to go above 4000 megahertz on the memory, so let's put 4133 here and go for, I think, 19, 39. This on 2N, and now we should be good. Let's save it and let's go. So at least we are now booting. So with Asus boards, this would not happen because they don't support these memory speeds at all. But here we go. We are in, And let's see what's what. Let me just get this opened. And here we are, memory working as intended. CPU at 5 gigahertz. And voltages are now 1.328. So GG, this is why the offset mode is pretty nice. Let's check the temps now. And the temps are hovering above 30, and as you probably can hear, the PC is pretty silent now. My fan profile is such that only after 60 Celsius or so the fans start to spin up. I don't particularly enjoy the whoosh and whirly sounds of the case fans. No, but yeah, anyways, here you can see that the V-core is now 1.328, and let's just fire up this. Alright, let's continue. So what I was talking about was putting a game on just to check the voltages while gaming, to point out the advantages of this offset mode. Let's fire up player unknowns just to see the effect. Alright, and here we are in game, and as you can see the voltages are now 1.328, 1.34, somewhere around there, and the temps, well, of course, with this short test or view, the temps didn't have enough time to rise up, build up when we were having 1.42, 1.43 volts. But believe me, this is gonna stay way cooler, and the voltages won't go above 1.375 at any point. So indeed, pretty nice feature to have. I was using with the Asus board, I had the Asus Strix. I was quite disappointed with it. Its VRM, the current capabilities to feed power to the CPU were pretty bad. Anything above 200 watts was gonna crash it sooner or later. But with this Taichi, the VRM is a lot better. It can handle a lot more current and sustain lower temperatures for the VRM itself, and it can keep feeding the CPU a lot better. So this is what I get now with gaming on this motherboard, and I'll just show you how it behaves with a benchmark. So we fire up the Prime 95, and as you can see, its Avx support is on. You can disable Avx support from this file with the set Avx something option. But yeah, let's go. Let's put this somewhere there. Small FFTs, go. And here you can see that the V-core jumped up to 1.44 immediately after beginning the test, and it's now slowly switching between 1.42 and 1.44, and that's just how much current this CPU needs for the Prime Avx commands to be stable. And that's that's a lot. But, and you can see here that it's going on pretty nicely, and I can guarantee you that this is this is what this needs for me to be stable at 5 gigahertz. I've been running this for 2 hours without a hiccup, no workers being stopped or anything. It's just gets a little warm after few hours. But let's stop this and try something else so that you can see how the voltages are behaving. So now we are back down to 1.328 volts, which is nice. And with the set volt value, I would be now running 1.43 volts, and the temperatures would be a little bit higher. But let's try, I think, maybe a real bench. A real bench is also an Avx benchmark program, but it uses, I don't know, it's not as heavy as Prime 95. If it starts. And here we go. So yeah, let's see what kind of voltages we get with this one. So stress test. Let's do an hour. No, I don't want to do that long video. No, let's go for an hour, and I'll put 8 gigs here, and I'll start the benchmark. Let's see how it goes for the few first minutes, and then I'll stop the video and come back after the benchmark is done. Yeah. Okay, and now you can see that we are going for 1.392 volts, so a lot less than Prime 95, like a shit ton less. And you can see that the temperatures are in the 70s range, 68 to 71 or something like that, while with Prime we went all the way up to 87. And this is also a really good benchmark, maybe a more realistic load for the CPU to handle. So we'll leave this here to run here for an hour or so, and come back and see the results. Okay, welcome back. We are almost finished with the real benchmark stress test for 1 hour, up to 8 gigabits of RAM used. As you can see here, we are 59 minutes in. Oh, and we are done. And it says stress test passed. And I resetted this Hove info monitor, like maybe, well, you can see here, 17 minutes and 55 seconds ago, just because it had all the maximum values from the IBT. So, oh no, not IBT, but the Prime 95 AVX run. So now we have all this data from this current run with the real bench. So maximum temperatures in real bench were 74 degrees Celsius. Maximum V-core used was 1.392. Lowest has been 1.328. And the current value on the desktop is that 1.328. So this is the offset mode, and as you saw, it's quite capable of running up to 5 gigahertz and even more. I think I might be able to push to 5.1 gigahertz with this processor. Needs to be tested more and so forth, but maybe later more about that. My main point, or my main thing with the 8700K is that I want a CPU that is AVX capable for 5 gigahertz, and this CPU unit seems to be one of those, even though it has to use over 1.4 voltage to achieve that. But that's only with Prime 95. As you saw with the real bench, with other AVX programs, this is able to achieve AVX stability with a lot less voltage, 1.392, and that's pretty decent, I'd say. And with the offset, I can be gaming with 1.35, 1.36 volts, so that's pretty decent. The next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is memory and the Taichi memory support. So according to Overclock.net forums, Taichi is able to achieve over 4 gigahertz, 4000 megahertz memory speeds, even with 4 DIMM slots being used, and that's pretty remarkable. Asus has only one board, the Apex. It's a very expensive board, and it's only one of Asus boards that can go reliably over 4000 megahertz on memory. The Hero can go up to 4100, I guess, but that you need to do actual memory configuring a lot more than with the Taichi. I don't know what Asrock has done. What's so special with Taichi, but the end result is pretty good, pretty amazing. And I've tested my 3600 megahertz memory sticks. They run up to 4200 megahertz. And now I have them with 4133, 1939, and I've been testing memory a lot with the HCI memory test, MEM test, and whatnot. But there is this MEM test that's being developed. It's been out only for a short time. It's being developed by this Mustanamio guy over at IoTech BBS. It's a great site for Finnish overclockers. I'm Finnish myself, and that's why I speak so crappy English. English is not my main language, but this MEM test by Mustanamio is far better than the HCI MEM test and whatnot. This is probably the best memory testing program I've ever used. I don't think this has like a shareware edition or a test demo edition available yet. You have to pay €7 for the license. It's a lifetime license to use. And what I like about this program is that you don't need to have multiple instances of it running. It finds memory errors a lot faster than other memory testers, like remarkably faster, like twice or 3 times or even 4 times faster. And it's simple to use. Just set how much of your memory you want to test, and boom, you are off to the races. And as you can see, it's pretty fast, and it's accurate, and it keeps finding more errors than HCI MEM test and other MEM testers I've been using. So can only give a giant thumbs up and recommendations for this program. I'll try to give more info about this program on the description of the video, down below there. So check this out if you are looking for a good, amazing MEM test software. And yeah, I'll try to contact Mustanamio if he has a plan to release this software, like in a web shop or something, I don't know. But yeah, anyways, that's about the memory. I've been running this mem test for these memory settings over and over and over again for thousands and thousands of % coverage over the memory, and it hasn't found any errors yet. So this is my kit is stable 4133 megahertz, latency 19. So yeah, well done Asrock for great memory support. And for the last part on this video, I think I'm gonna play a few rounds of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and put in a clip so you can see what the temperatures of the CPU and what the voltages are while gaming, because you know this is a gaming CPU. Most of the people who buy this, I think, are gonna use it mainly for gaming, so that's pretty relevant for this overclocking guide. Alright, and as promised, next is a long clip of me playing PUBG, about 20 minutes. You can just skip ahead and check the voltages and the temperatures. They are going to be hovering around 50s, peaking up to 60s. And after that there is a Firestrike benchmark, and after that some more clips and my cooling setup. Alright, hey, just a quick addition to the video. I forgot to mention what kind of cooling I am using. So here you can see my system. It's in a Corsair 460X case, a glass case with tempered glass side panels. So I'm using the AlphaCool Ice Bear as my CPU cooler. It's an all-in-one cooler, AIO, with a copper 240mm radiator as an intake on the front, and I have another intake fan over here pushing air to the VRM area. So because I don't have any CPU cooler like a fan cooler here on top of the CPU, I think it's a good idea to create some airflow so that the VRM components over here will be having some cooling components, cooling effects with the airflow. And I have all of my case fans are Corsair Maglev ML series fans, which I think are probably the best case fans at the moment. So they are suitable for both radiators or just the normal airflow. And that's it. That's my cooling setup. Bye. Okay, so now that we are done with the cooling setup, I will quickly go through my BIOS settings for my fans. This footage is right after I did the PUBG play videos and the Firestrike benchmark. So you saw my voltage there on HW info, and now I'm just quickly rebooting to BIOS to show the fan settings. So I'm running my Maglev ML fans on pretty low settings up until 50 or 60 degrees Celsius. So here you will see my fan config. So this is just to show that I'm not blasting my fans on full throttle, just to make low temperature readings on benchmarks, but these are my actual readings. So at temperature 40 my duty cycle is 26% on CPU cooler, and here you can see the case fans, and water cooling pump was that optional fan, CPU fan. And with these settings, with these voltages, the Taichi is both cool and quiet, and when it needs to, it can use higher voltages to be stable at AVX workloads that are rare. So for that I give Taichi a huge thumbs up. Very good motherboard, very good. Thank you and goodbye.